Good afternoon to everybody. I think it's been some great sessions today. Hopefully mine can follow on from some of those. But my name's Chris Roberts. I'm going to give you my background, but I work for SAP. Don't blame me for the software, by the way, because I'm here to talk about Microsoft products. Anyway, let's give a background, because I'm going to kind of like discuss update rings. First of all, I'm going to give you a background about myself. As I said, Chris Roberts, Twitter, at young_Robbo. I can explain the name later to anybody if they're interested. You can probably tell I don't run marathons. I haven't written any books either. I've got 4 children instead, so they kind of like take up quite a bit more time. I'm a client delivery architect for SAP. SCCM and Intune, we're supporting around about 117,000 systems. And within that as well, 110,000 of those are Windows 10. The rest are server OSs within SCCM. And I did find out yesterday, for some reason, we've got 4 Windows 7 devices back in our environment. I don't know how that's happened. Apart from that, we thought we'd destroyed them all. We're Office 365. We're also doing co-management. We're doing cloud management gateway. We really are embracing the modern path on this. So I've given you a background about myself. Let's give you a background about why I feel user choice was important to us and why it could come to you in the future. SAP, we're a highly technical organization, obviously. We're software programmers. There's developers in there. Also, we're consultant rich. These people are demanding on us. And as well as that, we've got lots of millennials coming through the organization. And I think you're going to see this over time, that the younger people that are coming into our organizations, they are going to be more demanding on us than ever. They are going to want the latest updates. They are going to want the latest OS. And as well as that, we have requirements to support what our customers have out there. So there will be people in there that say, hey, 1809 was released yesterday. Can I have it? No, you don't want it. Delete your files. But you can have it if you really do want it. So what do we do then in order to give our users this choice? Well, we set up a concept for our update rings. But what we did, rather than just actually choosing a random 10,000 machines or something that we want to go into each ring, instead what we did is actually we packaged something up to be released to our end users. It's a PowerShell-based application, and what we did is we actually just manipulated registry keys in the system that they wanted. The reason why we did this actually is because it meant that you could change, you could have 2 systems and you could have them on completely different release cadences. Actually, we went through 2 iterations of this release as well. And then later on, I'm going to show you what we're on now at the moment as well, because it's changed yet again, totally evolving all the time in the organization. Basically, the first one that we did is actually we released a package with 3 programs, and we released all 3 programs into System Center. And then you could just go into your Software Center and choose which one you wanted. That was a nice, easy one. And then in the end, by the way, this is designed by an IT guy. You can tell when a designer designs something and an IT guy designs something, because when an IT guy designs it, it comes out like this. It's functional, is the best way of putting it. And it wasn't me, by the way, it was one of my colleagues. But basically, single program, select where you want to be, and then you release it. We basically gave our users 3 choices. First of all, those choices were pioneers, as we called them. They're the people that are going to be the fastest to release, the fast people, and the slow snails at the end. Normally end up in finance, actually, we find with those guys. Eventually, this became insiders, pioneers, and standard, we called them. Nobody likes to be called slow, so we thought, hey, let's just change it a little bit around. Actually, there's 2 hidden options we have as well, dev and VIPs. Everybody has those VIPs that they don't like updating, so they get more choice, they get more time to update. But we're still actually on a cadence where they will get 2 versions of Windows a year as options to them. When we put this into the registry, and I'm going to show you in a minute, our first iteration, I was just talking to Rob about this, had 1, 2, 3 as a choice. And I was brilliant, 1, 2, 3 in the registry. And then my boss comes to me and says, hey, I want you to put an extra one in. I said, yeah, number 4. He said, no, I want it between number 1 and 2. Typical. So basically what we ended up actually was putting was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 into the registry. It's the old basic way of doing things. If you can remember basic in this room, you know very well, you never numbered your lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because you knew you was going to make a mistake somewhere and you'd have to insert another one in there. So just to come and show you what we ended up with on this. The application is very, very simple. It just basically comes up. You're going to have to excuse me because I'm going to have to run it elevated on this one. And I can go in. You can see it's already told me that I'm a pioneer at the moment. And what I can do is I can change it so that my machine becomes in the fast ring on this very simple application. And then when we go into the registry for this machine now, and we hit refresh, we can see it's updated the registry instantly. Great, so I've got something in there that we've suddenly got and we can use. But I can't use it in SCCM at the moment. And that was key to us, to obviously be able to carry on with our releases. So what do? Instead, what we do is we go to a favorite of mine, and that is actually creating classes within WMI by using the configuration.mof file. I don't know how many, we're all familiar with making edits on the configuration.mof file. Yeah, I think most of you will be. But basically what we did is we created a namespace within there, and I've just kind of like slightly renamed it so it hasn't got SAP all over it for this presentation. But we called this the update info, and we collect that registry key. Actually, in ours as well, at one point, we were doing different releases for the office schedule as well. So at one point, we were collecting 2 or 3 different registry keys. Another one is a lot of our machines, people don't like them being touched, certain systems, when we're on QEC period. So actually we had a QEC hold as well on some systems, which would hold that back from getting updates even further. But we have refined it down now, and just down to the 1 registry key. If you're not familiar with registry key edits, by the way, reg key to mof is your friend here. Unless you're really familiar with it, it's just so easy to actually use that tool and actually get your information into the configuration.mof. And then the data loader log is essential for any mof file edits. I would say you're looking at that to see whether it's compiled into the mof files as compiled correctly into SCCM. The only other thing that I'd put here is I put this extra part in here. What we also do within our mof file is we have a mof file revision that we also store within WMI. I don't know how many people do this, but what that will allow me to do is it will allow me to run some reports in, out of the SQL database to actually find out how many people have had the new mof file applied on their system. It's a very easy way to see how many different, also it can highlight any issues you've got with hardware inventory being collected. So it's just a useful little tip that I've learned along the way for that one. Right, collecting the data once we've got the mof file, you've got 2 options. First of all, if you've actually made the change to the whole mof file, your client's done a policy retrieval, and you've done further hardware inventory, actually you can just go default client settings, go to the hardware inventory, go to set classes, click add, and then connect to the machine that has that to the root that you've got there. And in this case, it was root sim v2. And then you can locate the update info class, and you can bring it straight into your hardware inventory from there. The alternative is actually to use regkey.mof to create an SMS def.mof. Actually, that's slightly different when you get to the set classes. Rather than doing add, you're going to do import. Useful, actually, if you're going to add an additional key, because you can't do that with the other method, whereas you can just quickly do it with this to add the extra keys in if you're changing that. And then the only other thing you have to do is make sure you turn this on at the correct level to meet your requirements. Right, so once you've done all that, then what we get within SCCM is you'll see, and because we're in SAP and I've already got these classes, you can see my update info's just got the SAP part in the front. But what we do then is we can actually create our collections based around this. So you can have 2 collections. If you've only got 2 rings, you can have 5 collections. You know, as many of those rings as what you create using those edits, you can actually pull into there. So you can see I've just kind of like staged this one up already, because I don't want to die on my first presentation to the demo gods, because that's what generally happens here. But when we do, we can actually create those collections. And then you eventually get a membership count, and you can see if I look at ours from the 10 from the registry, we get 3,000 members being pulled into our collection. And that gives us the basis then from which to start now updating our systems. And what would we do here once let me flick through that again. Collections and rollouts. Yep.
So even though you sort of got people who have decided that they want to go at a slower or a faster rate, have you done any sort of due diligence on drivers and apps before that, or you just let people decide?
We do, because we've got Windows Analytics running as well, which enables us to filter out certain systems that will not run the update. Now, you've got to remember as well, we're a very Windows 10 rich environment already. All of our systems are already Windows 10 before we even rolled this out.
But nevertheless, there's still quite a lot of stuff in upgrade.
Yeah. And that's what that dev collection is for as well. That dev collection is our real first smoke test of things. And actually, that is the whole point of this ring, so that we can actually roll through with a gradually increasing amount of clients to actually hopefully filter out the problems. Jerry. We're MBAM. No. We did previously, because we were PGP originally, but because since Windows 10 release and before that, so SAP, because again the demand is for the latest OS, just so you realise, we've been Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10 throughout all of our clients. We were the company that had Windows Vista in our environment. Yeah, I know. Just so you're aware. But yeah, I mean, this is the whole point of the ring. So we try and do a smoke test. Now, this isn't the same as doing Windows Analytics, in the fact that with the analytics, you're supposed to be able to actually find out the best set of machines to perform your updates to. But actually, so we've been rolling out 1803 using this, and our ticket rate for the 1803 rollout has been extremely low, to virtually non-existent. And I'll show you why actually as well in a minute, for the other reason for that as well. And by the way, this goes against what a lot of MVPs would recommend to us. Right? We don't use task sequences anymore. We stopped using task sequences to upgrade our Windows 10 fleet. We actually use the Windows servicing within SCCM. We're probably the only customer that is at the moment. And if anybody wants to talk to me about that to me on another time, we can actually have a chat about that one as well. It's interesting because, as I say, it does go against a lot of what people will tell us to do. So this is about improving the reliability of our rollouts. So our insiders, we tend to give them the latest build of Windows 10. And also, we give them the ability to unlock an insider build as well if they want to. We do get that request. We do put, when they do that though, there's an application that will come up that will tell them what they're actually letting themselves in for. And that if it all goes wrong, they may have to get a re-image of their system. Just to put the caveats on there. But also, these are our clients that get the updates on Patch Tuesday. They get applications when they are coming to our QA team to be tested. So they can actually try these out first. And if it all goes wrong, again, these are under the caveats that if any of this goes wrong, you may need a re-image. And it's about having that understanding with your users when they sign up for this. And as well as that, another useful thing that we do, new SCCM features and clients. We don't have to think about when we upgrade our SCCM, who's going to be the pilot group for that new client? We've already got it all decided by the rings. And it brings new people in all the time. And we get a good spread of testing from that, and actually all around the globe as well, being a global organisation.
So do you force people to make a choice what that wants to do?
No. You instantly join the standard ring. We don't force you to make a choice. What we do is we try to encourage people to make a choice instead. And if we haven't got enough people, then we do expand out some pilot rings. with some random machines if we're doing a Windows 10 upgrade, say for instance. So we will pull in some good test systems within there in order to make sure the Windows 10 is working. Yes. Yes. Yeah, definitely. So patches, for instance, they have to upgrade within the first 7 days. So we performed our pilot because after on patch Tuesday +8, we released to our main infrastructure and they only get the next week to install. Now with Windows 10, it really does depend upon which ring you're in, and I can go into more depth, but with that, with Windows 10, we're very fluid in our deadline dates. So in other words, with 1809, for instance, we are looking at the moment, I think the first ring was looking, availability was release day +1, just to give us time to get all the bits in there. And the required date was supposed to be 45 days after release. Now, obviously, we pulled it straight away once we got the message that it was deleting people's files. But because actually we didn't use folder redirection, it probably wouldn't have affected us. But it's why it's there. It's why our dev group's there as well, so that we can really smoke test this. And when it deletes my own system's content, then I know that it's probably a bad release for me. And then Pioneers, as I say, I got Windows 10 after 1 month. It changes. And because we've only just started doing this year, this kind of like slides at the moment around. But generally with our Pioneers, they will get it after 1 month, after around about 30 days, and then it will go required on them after 90 days. They get their updates as well, but on a patch Tuesday, and they also get their applications from QA release. What they may not get is actually the latest SCCM client. They won't be in the pilot group, but they may get features from SCCM. You know, it's anything that we do within the SCCM world, we release now through these rings. That includes all of our CIs as well, and we're a really CI-rich environment. And then finally, we got our standard. They're actually on Windows 10 on the semi-annual channel rather than the semi-annual channel targeted. And they will get their updates on patch Tuesday. I put +7 days here, it's actually +8 days. And their applications just come through our standard release cycle. So we did all that. And then it's all about faster updates versus stability as you go down. You know, we expect our finance people to be in this bottom group. We expect some of our devs and consultants to be in these top 2 groups. You know, faster updates versus stability all the time for us. And we did all that, and then we've changed the release to an SAP Fiori application. The reason being, actually, first of all, is this becomes web-driven. So it means that what I can do is I can pick up my phone device while I'm at home, and I can say, do you know what? I want to change my device at the moment, but it's sat in the office, it's on my desk, but I'm going to change it to be a Pioneer now, and I can actually change it from there. Where this change actually is it updates an AD group with the device name instead. Now the reason why we've gone this way as well is because that means then we can suck those groups within to Intune as well, so we can actually start doing the stuff that we're doing with Intune also now becomes bound to our ring concept all the way through. The Fiori app, I'll show you it in a minute. It knows which systems you have. It's actually, it actually interacts with our inventory system. So I can actually see exactly what systems I have and what ring each of those systems is in. And as well as that, we've also extended this to say you can have your user ID as a device persona as well. So the user that you log in suddenly has the same functionality. So anything that we do that is user-driven, we can also do the same kind of functionality with. So it's not just about systems anymore. Okay, so you know the procedure. They select an update ring for a device. Fiori in the background will inject it into the AD group. Once that happens, the AD group discovery runs on our clients, and then the collections update. I think for these, actually, we've got the collections only updating once a day, so it's not an instant process, just so you're aware on that one. This is the Fiori app. Actually, it's probably best what I do instead is just show you our Fiori app. So I spoke about the cloud persona is what our users know as their user persona. So you can see this is actually my own ID, and you can see there that I'm an insider, or I can be a pioneer, or I can be standard. I can choose that. And then more importantly, though, from my perspective, is I can actually go and have a look at my devices as well. Yeah, you can see I've got a few devices in there now. So what I can do is go and look at one of those devices. So for instance, I've got a tiny Lenovo desktop that I can remote into in the office, because I'm very rarely going to the office. This is an adventure for me today, getting out of the house. And I can come here and click on the Insider for this. And I'm going to say, you know what, I want this to have the updates that I need tomorrow. And I can click on Insider, and that has already updated it. It will now rattle through the back end. System group discovery will have to happen. All those things will have to take place. And then by tomorrow morning, this will probably be on the Insider ring for me. And it will be getting new updates. So actually, if I want to, with that device, if I know 1809 is released, and I think, do you know what? I need 1809 on that. Boom, click. There you go. Next day, I can actually make sure that device has got 1809 running for me. The downside of that is your users that suddenly switch over, particularly if they go from the standard straight to the Insider, they may suddenly find themselves getting an awful lot of updates in one go, because they may suddenly get, and it is a warning again that we give them, that if you do change, expect to the fact that you may have to do a lot of updates in one go. Okay. And I think that was all I have, and hopefully I've managed, no, there is one other thing. We talked about support. So feedback is essential. So we've used MS Teams for our feedback on this. If you are in the insiders or pioneers, it actually allows you to have an interaction with third level support teams rather than just going through first level. You have to be scaled out to support that as well. But obviously, it extends that support portal when rolling out a new ring, and as well as that, we actually advertise in here, hey guys, new version of Windows is coming. You're going to get it today. Can you give us the feedback? Tell us what isn't working, tell us what is, so that we can make the changes, so that we can basically decide whether to stop or continue with the rollout as well. It acts as our warning system, and it's used for tracking issues and solutions to those issues. And actually, one of the things that we build up then a good level of frequently asked questions page within these teams. And eventually, when we come to the full rollout, those frequently asked questions can be actually transported to our local IT teams and everybody around, and actually given to the users as an email, from an email template, so that they can be aware, hey, you're going to get this. It's going to come. One of the issues we had with 1803 was the microphone not working because it was bound to Win32 apps, and our guys had said, oh, Microsoft are evil. So we must set all the privacy settings so that so all the microphones disabled and everything. And that meant their microphones stopped working in Skype. We heard about that fairly quickly. And we was able to release a solution for that, for our insiders, and actually then automate the solution for our pioneers. And then by the time it reaches standard, everybody has the solution already in place. And that's why we've done this. And we have a Teams room there for each ring. And eventually, we use what we gather here to support the rollout to the standard groups. That's when it's supported by our first and second level support teams. We found this doesn't use up a lot of our time as well. For the amount of clients that we support, we're not a huge team. 6 of us in total to support 110,000 users.
We've got 6, we've got 255.
Do you want to have a chat? It's unfair, actually, that I say that. Because what you've got to understand, an organisation of our size, we have packaging team. And I don't include those in there. All right, so we've got a team that does the packaging. And as well as that, there is a kind of semi third level support team that does our day-to-day third level stuff, which is outsourced. But generally what we are doing is we are supporting those 110,000 Windows 10 systems and the other 7,000 servers to some extent with just 6 people globally. Hopefully that's given you a good insight. I mean, obviously I can take questions on any of this as well. They have been asked as we go along, but I honestly, just fire away if you've got anything that you want to ask.
When you say you use server scripts and not file sequences,
Yeah.
how do you deal with creating and updating?
So, yeah, post. Let me talk about the post first. Pre, we don't deal with, by the way. Pre, we do to an extent. The collections that I've developed for OSD for that purpose, for the, and I called it OSD, that's a bad terminology, sorry, but it's just a team name that we use within our organization. Each of those collections actually has an exclude collection on it, and what we do is anything that we know, McAfee, that we know doesn't work, then what we do is we actually create an exclusion of all the clients that have got the wrong version of McAfee into that exclude collection, and that belongs to all the other collections instantly. That means until you update your McAfee, your machine will not get the latest version of Windows. That's how we deal with the pre-stuff. And also, we're very good at making sure things like BIOS and drivers are up to date, because we've already developed all of our ways of pushing out the BIOSes and drivers via task sequences to all those systems already. And we do like to keep our systems up to date beforehand. Post, what we've done is we've been a little bit more inventive with the post side. We actually have a scheduled task that runs on your machine that detects when your version of Windows has changed. That scheduled task is pushed onto your machine via CIs. Okay? So we can actually change that scheduled task, and also we can change the script that runs behind it, and it checks the hash files, hashes of all the scripts and everything. They're actually hosted on your system as well. So when you're in the office or not, it can actually get to that script. And anything that needs to be done post, we actually list out in that script. It's a bit of a fudge, but why we've done it is the improvement in the user experience. The user is only without their laptop for about 10 to 20 minutes maximum. And that is during the part that it asks for the restart of their system. Up until that point, they have continued working. They hit the reboot. And we've even had it as low as some systems only taking 5 minutes to actually stage the rest of the install of the OS and actually come out with the end user working at the end of it. Yeah, generally within the first few minutes, them logging on. We've also, what we've done is we've started stripping away what we used to do to customize things all the time. So rather than actually looking at Windows as being something that we customize heavily, instead what we're using is a very much closer to the out-of-box Windows, rather than trying to put all these things that we used to do. And it does take you to actually look at your systems and turn around and say, what did we do in the past? Why did we do it? Do we still need to do it? That's actually really critical for us to have actually gone down that path. And we're still going down it because we're going very modern at the moment. So autopilot, brilliant session. We're already down that path at the moment. Our pilot for autopilot starts next week. Any other questions?
You said you made the co-management of your experience.
Should we leave that? Where's Robert? Pete, do you want us to leave that for another session? Do you want to talk to me afterwards? Honestly, if you want to talk, because, yeah, we've gone down that path, but what I don't want to do is kill their time, because unfortunately I know we are really pressured for time. Any other questions? Cool. Right, thanks a lot, everybody.